Inside ADX Death Row Transfer, America's most secure prison moves its deadliest inmate. The day everything stopped inside ADX. It was still dark when the order came down. At exactly 3:47 a.m., every hallway light inside ADX Florence, America's most secure prison, flashed red. The sound of boots echoed off concrete floors as guards in black tactical gear moved in silence. Something big was happening. Behind steel doors and motion sensors, one of the deadliest inmates in U.S. history was being prepared for transfer. His name wasn't allowed on the radios. Not even the guards escorting him were told his identity until minutes before the move. To the outside world, it was just another cold morning in Colorado. But to the men inside ADX, it was the day the prison itself seemed to hold its breath. A transfer like this had never happened before, not from the death row unit deep beneath ADX Florence, the part of the facility so secret that even many prison staff have never seen it. And when the steel gates finally rolled open that morning, the quietest place on earth turned into a fortress on high alert. The man they called the Ghost. Before the transfer, inmates whispered about him in the yard. They said he once led an armed group responsible for dozens of lives lost. Others claimed he had ties to both organized crime and domestic terrorism. The truth was somewhere in between. Officially, he was known only as Inmate #42895-076, but the guards called him the Ghost. He earned the name because, for over 15 years, no one had seen his face outside of isolation. He never spoke, never made eye contact, and never responded to his name. Some guards even believed he'd gone years without uttering a single word. His cell was a 7 by 12-foot concrete box. No bars, just a solid steel door with a small food slot and a slit of glass the size of a dollar bill. He lived under 24-hour camera surveillance, with lights that never fully turned off. Even meals were delivered on a track system through a secure hatch. The Ghost had no cellmate, no visitors, and no human contact beyond the muffled sound of footsteps outside his door. Yet somehow, from that cell, he remained a threat. The Bureau of Prisons believed he was secretly communicating with associates on the outside, through coded letters, smuggled notes, or signals hidden in artwork sent from the facility's mail program. And that was enough to trigger an unprecedented decision. The Ghost was to be moved out of ADX Florence's main compound into a classified federal location under U.S. Marshal control. But this wasn't going to be a normal transfer. This was a national security operation. The security lockdown begins. On the night before the move, no one in the prison was told why they were suddenly being locked down. Every inmate was ordered to their cells. Hallways were cleared. Even the prison chapel and library, places that hadn't been closed in years, were sealed off. Inside the command center, screens flickered with live camera feeds from over 1,400 cameras placed throughout ADX Florence. A special operations team known as SORT, Special Operations Response Team, had arrived earlier that evening from Washington, D.C. They weren't regular correctional officers. These were men trained for military-style operations inside prison walls. Their orders were precise. No radios, no names, no unnecessary movement, and no mistakes. By 3:30 a.m., armored transport vehicles were already positioned behind the main gate, engines running, headlights off. Each vehicle was fitted with bulletproof glass, GPS blockers, and reinforced locks that could only be opened remotely. The entire prison went dark for 12 minutes. Every camera feed switched to infrared. Then, deep beneath the facility, door 13, the one that led to the death row corridor, slid open. Inside, 6 men in full tactical armor surrounded a single figure. Shackled at wrists, waist, and ankles, the Ghost stood motionless. His head was covered by a black hood to block his vision. One guard whispered, "How can a man who hasn't spoken in years still scare the people guarding him?" Another replied, "Because silence can be louder than words." They began the walk. Every 15 seconds, the radio codes confirmed their progress. Unit 1 secure. Unit 2 clear. Unit 3 en route. At 3:58 a.m., the main transfer gate opened for the first time that year. The Ghost was gone, escorted into the cold Colorado night, heading to a place even more secret than ADX Florence. And for the next 7 days, no one knew where he was. The route no one knew. By sunrise, the entire transfer convoy had vanished into the Colorado mountains. Even the highway patrol didn't know a federal operation was unfolding right under their noses. The plan was designed under Operation Shadowline, a protocol used only when an inmate poses a national security risk. Not even the drivers knew their destination. Each armored truck had sealed GPS coordinates that would only unlock once they reached a certain checkpoint. The Ghost was placed in Vehicle 2, surrounded by guards with M4 rifles and body armor. Inside, the temperature was kept cold, the lights dim. The inmate's wrists were shackled to a reinforced belt, and his legs to the steel floor. No one spoke. The silence was so deep that you could hear the hum of the engine and the soft clicking of the air vents. An agent from the U.S. Marshals Service's Tactical Operations Division sat across from him, reading from a tablet. His face was blank, his orders were strict. No communication, no acknowledgement, no emotion. They passed through 3 states in total, stopping only for refueling at pre-cleared, secured lots. Helicopters flew overhead in shifts. Drones tracked from a distance to ensure no one followed. At 9:46 a.m., a blinding snowstorm swept over the Rockies. Visibility dropped to nearly zero. The lead vehicle slowed, radios buzzed, and that's when it happened. The marshals lost signal. For 7 full minutes, every camera, GPS tracker, and communication line went dark. When the signal returned, the convoy was intact, but something had changed. The Ghost's head turned slightly toward the agent across from him. For the first time in years, someone inside ADX had seen him move. And though the hood covered his face, the faint sound of breathing beneath it made the guards uneasy. Because it wasn't calm. It was smiling. Arrival at the unknown facility. By noon, the convoy reached a vast desert plain. The horizon was empty, no roads, no signs, no civilization. But then, hidden beneath a ridge of sandstone cliffs, massive steel gates slid open from the ground. It was a classified holding site, a temporary maximum security facility used only for short-term intelligence detentions. Every wall was lined with anti-drone netting. Every door required dual-key biometric access. And every guard who entered the zone had signed a confidentiality clause that would keep them silent for life. As the vehicles entered the underground bay, the sound of metal doors closing echoed like thunder. Dust filled the air. The lights were sterile white. The Ghost was escorted out, still hooded, still silent, as over 40 federal officers watched from behind glass walls. The warden of ADX Florence had been flown in to oversee the transfer personally. He handed the official custody documents to a man in a black suit. The man didn't give his name, just a badge that read Department of Justice, Restricted Division. When the final signature was inked, the warden asked quietly, "Where does he go now?" The man's reply was simple. "Nowhere. He's already there." No one saw the Ghost again that day. The facility sealed its gates, and for the next 48 hours, ADX Florence was ordered into total blackout mode. No mail, no calls, no outside communication. Even the inmates noticed something different. Fewer guards, colder meals, a silence that stretched too long. And then the rumors started spreading again. Some said the Ghost died in transit. Others swore they heard a second convoy leave at night, heading toward Nevada or maybe Utah. But the truth, no one could confirm. The message that shouldn't exist. A week after the transfer, a guard inside ADX received a letter. It wasn't addressed to him. In fact, it had no address at all. Just a line written across the envelope. For the one who walks the red corridor. Security protocols kicked in immediately. The mail was intercepted and scanned for threats. But when the warden read it, his blood ran cold. The note inside said, "You can move the body, but not the shadow. I am still here." No fingerprints. Note in it. The handwriting was neat, controlled, and unmistakably human. The Ghost had never been allowed access to writing materials for years. He had no pen, no paper, no way to send mail. Yet somehow this letter existed. It was logged as evidence #77, a possible internal compromise. But deep inside the system, a quiet fear spread through the Bureau of Prisons. Had the ghost really been moved, or had he never left ADX Florence at all? The investigation begins. 2 weeks after the transfer, the Bureau of Prisons sent an internal audit team to ADX Florence. Their task: confirm the inmate's removal and ensure every record matched federal custody logs. But from the moment they arrived, things didn't add up. In the system, the file for inmate #42895-076 showed a completed transfer. Date stamped, signed, verified. Yet the transport footage, supposedly logged from 300 cameras, was missing from the archive. Only 12 seconds of grainy video remained. A black van entering a tunnel, then static. When the team questioned the warden, he seemed calm, but his eyes told a different story. He admitted he'd never seen the ghost's face during the transfer. Only a body in restraints, hooded, silent. What if it wasn't him? One investigator asked. No one answered. That night, the lead investigator, Agent Morris, stayed behind reviewing files. At 2:14 a.m., he noticed something strange. The motion sensors in cell block D13, the ghost's old unit, were still active. No inmate was listed there anymore. But the lights still flickered on and off. Every night. Whispers in the concrete. Guards began to talk. Not openly, but in hushed voices in the break room, or out in the yard where cameras couldn't record sound. They said someone had heard tapping inside D13. Slow, deliberate taps that followed a pattern. 3 short. 2 long. Then silence. It was the same rhythm used by death row inmates decades ago to communicate between cells. But D13 had been sealed shut since the transfer. A maintenance crew was sent to inspect the corridor. They found nothing. No tools, no writing, no footprints. Just a faint mark scratched into the wall near the vent. I never left. That was enough to terrify even the toughest correctional officers. Some refused to work that wing at night. Others quit entirely. The prison administration dismissed it as paranoia. But off the record, the Bureau authorized another level of security: thermal scans of the old unit. When the results came back, everyone went silent. A faint heat signature appeared inside the sealed cell. Human-sized. Moving slowly. And when they checked again the next night, it was gone. The public never knew. Officially, no one outside federal intelligence ever heard about the ghost's transfer. There was no press release, no acknowledgement, no trace. Even Freedom of Information requests came back redacted, stamped, National Security Exception. But inside the prison world, stories spread fast. Inmates claimed guards were taking orders from new officials who didn't wear name tags. Some said the underground cells were being rewired, new locks, new cameras, new signals. A journalist from Denver tried to dig into it. 2 days after her article went live, it was deleted from every major site. Her editor said she'd misunderstood the Bureau's statement. She resigned the same week. Meanwhile, deep below the Colorado soil, the red corridor of ADX stayed locked. No one entered. No one cleaned. But sometimes, when the prison went silent at 3 a.m., the lights flickered for exactly 7 seconds. That was the same amount of time the cameras had gone dark during the ghost's transfer. Coincidence? Or a reminder that he was never truly gone? The return of the red corridor. Months passed. Winter rolled across the Rockies, burying ADX Florence under snow and silence. The ghost's name had vanished from every system, but his presence, it refused to die. In late January, a new recruit named Officer Ramirez was assigned to the lower corridor patrol. It was supposed to be routine, just a flashlight walk through the maintenance tunnels. Halfway down the red-painted corridor, he felt a chill. Not the kind caused by cold air. This one felt heavy, like someone watching him breathe. He paused. Behind the sealed cell of D13, something scraped against the metal door. Then faintly, tap-tooth-puzz. Ramirez froze. He knew the pattern. The same old death row code. 3 short, 2 long. The one the Bureau never decoded. He stepped closer and whispered, "Who's there?" Silence. Then a single reply echoed through the vent. A low, hoarse voice that hadn't spoken in years. You moved me. But you didn't bury me. Ramirez stumbled back, dropped his flashlight, and sprinted for the elevator. When backup arrived minutes later, the corridor was empty. No sounds, no movement, no heat signature. But when they reviewed the footage from the motion sensor, the system showed the impossible. Cell D13's door registered as open for exactly 7 seconds. Washington steps in. By February, word of the incident had reached the top. 2 unmarked SUVs pulled into ADX Florence before dawn. Inside were men from Homeland Security and the Department of Justice Special Counterintel Unit. They demanded every file, every recording, and every guard report on the ghost. Then they sealed the red corridor permanently. That same day, an internal memo was circulated across the Bureau of Prisons. It read only one line. Project Silent Corridor is now under federal review. The warden was transferred out within 48 hours. Every officer who had contact with the ghost during the transfer signed new NDAs. And then something even stranger happened. The federal database deleted the number 42895-076 entirely. Not deactivated, erased. As if the inmate never existed. Yet on one of the security terminals, left open by mistake, Agent Morris noticed a new entry appear under a different clearance level. It was a single line of data. Subject relocated. Status, active. Location, unlisted. He printed it, but before he could leave the room, 3 agents entered and confiscated the paper. They told him to forget what he saw. Morris resigned the next day. The haunting proof. 6 months later, a maintenance engineer was replacing wiring in the lower tunnel beneath D block. When he removed an old vent cover, a folded piece of paper fell out. It was written in pencil, the same neat handwriting found in the first mysterious letter. You can silence a man, but you cannot silence what he's seen. Attached was a sketch, crude, smudged, drawn on standard ADX paper. It showed a hallway, dimly lit, lined with doors, but every door had a number, and all of them were 13. Security immediately confiscated the note. The engineer was relocated to another facility in Oregon. But by then, the whispers were everywhere. Guards said the old red corridor door now rattled by itself at night. Others claimed the temperature in that section dropped 10 degrees lower than the rest of the prison. No one went down there anymore. Even maintenance rerouted wiring through other tunnels. But still, once every few nights, the lights above D13 flickered exactly 7 times. The same duration of the lost transfer blackout. And the pattern of those flickers? 3 short. 2 long. The truth buried beneath. To this day, the official record still says inmate #42895-076 was transferred from ADX Florence under federal escort. Destination, classified. Status, secure. But guards who worked there know better. They say he never left. That the ghost became part of the prison itself. A symbol of what ADX was built for. To erase people so completely that not even death can free them. And every new recruit who joins ADX is told the same warning. If you ever hear tapping from behind the red corridor, don't answer back. Because some walls in ADX are listening. The media blackout. 3 months after the red corridor was sealed, the story almost broke. A small online news outlet from Denver, Rocky Mountain Observer, received an anonymous tip. Attached to the email were 3 still images, grainy security frames showing a man in shackles, escorted by federal agents through a tunnel lined with red lights. The timestamp read 3:47 a.m., matching the exact hour the ADX transfer took place. Within minutes of publishing the article titled, "Secret Death Row Transfer Sparks Questions at ADX Florence," the website went offline. Their entire archive vanished. Their Twitter account, suspended. Their email servers, locked and deleted. By morning, even cached versions of the article were gone. It was as if the story never existed. But the journalist, Emily Voss, refused to stop. She contacted a retired warden who confirmed off-record that the most dangerous man in America never made it out alive. Before she could go public again, she disappeared. Her apartment was found unlocked, her phone still charging beside her desk, her car parked outside. All that remained was a single note on her laptop screen. They move him every night. The file auto-deleted seconds after the computer was powered on. And just like that, the ghost's story went dark again. Inside the files. In 2022, under the Freedom of Information Act, a researcher named Daniel Kerr tried one last time to obtain federal documents on Project Silent Corridor. His request was denied. But weeks later, an unmarked envelope arrived at his university office in Chicago. No return address. Inside it were 2 photocopied pages, Official Bureau of Prisons reports, both stamped eyes only. The first page showed an inmate medical evaluation marked. Subject exhibits no vital signs but remains under surveillance. The second page was worse. It was a log entry dated January 27, 2017, time-stamped at 2:14 a.m. Motion detected, D13 corridor. Source unidentified. Audio file captured, 7 seconds. Transcript, single voice repeating phrase. Still here. Kerr posted the documents online. Within 24 hours, his account was deleted and his IP address permanently restricted from federal databases. No one ever confirmed whether the files were authentic. But for many, it was the closest proof that something unnatural still moved inside America's most secure prison. The Red Corridor today. Today, ADX Florence still operates as the highest security facility in the United States. It holds terrorists, gang leaders, and mass killers, all under 23-hour lockdown. But deep below, the Red Corridor remains off-limits. Maintenance logs mark it as structurally unsafe. Yet guards say lights still turn on in that sector once a week, though no one's been down there since 2015. New officers whisper that at night, the intercom picks up static from that corridor. Some say you can hear a voice repeating numbers. Others say it's just the old wiring. But everyone agrees on one thing. When the corridor lights flicker 3 short, 2 long, someone or something is trying to speak. And if you ever find yourself walking those halls, alone, you'll feel it, the chill of a man the world forgot, still haunting the walls built to erase him. The ghost was never meant to live again. But inside ADX Florence, nothing truly dies. The truth that can't be locked away. Every brick in ADX was laid to keep the world's most dangerous men silent forever. But sometimes, silence speaks louder than screams. Maybe the ghost was moved. Maybe he was buried deep below concrete and steel. Or maybe, just maybe, he's still watching through the cracks of cell D13, reminding us that no prison, no matter how strong, can contain the secrets it creates. What do you think? Was the ghost truly transferred, or did the system bury something far darker? Tell us in the comments below. Backhand index pointing down. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because the truth doesn't stay hidden for long. Studio microphone inside a prison wall 1, where the truth can't be locked away.